You know, and you can pull it out like one of those pirates or a warrior. Yeah, warrior knife. I give out knives, that's my thing, you know. Yeah. Right. But we'll send the ancestors so we can get that on through. Now we're gonna get to the good part. I just feel very privileged and very honored to be here tonight to present a man of honor, of valor, of scholarship. He's took 18 years of his life to study, rehearse, reverse, and know about verbatim our history on the dark side, which a lot of us are scared to go to. He brought things to the community like melanin and attached it to the 666, which most people think is a part of the mark of the beast, but it's the mark of our melanin. 6-part proton, 6-part neutron, and 6-part carbon. And Bobby also attached that to the soul aspect. When you go to sleep, that's when your soul become alive. That's when you really live. That's when you go back to the ancestral realm. He also brought to our community the meaning of water and spirit. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I didn't drink as much water as I did 17 months ago, but as I stand here today, I drink about 1 gallon to 2 gallons every day, celebrating the summer solstice, because as I speak, I am connected to the ancestors. See, because I'm initiated to study and research on my own. You know what I'm saying? I'm building my own library because I see Bobby with his books, you know, and I just feel like maybe in time they may snatch them from us. So we don't have nothing that's going to connect us to the truth. And they say, well, what's a book? What's a book? Well, when you got 4 or 5 different doctors and different people with degrees telling you the same thing, and then also you got to look inside your own memory bank. You see what I'm saying? You look at something, you study it, you read it, and then you take it within. See? And that's another thing Bobby has brought to the forefront. And Bobby goes all across the country. I bet you it's not probably 1 month that he's not traveling to another city to spread this awareness and this awakening of our people. Educating, you know, initiated, you know, dealing with it all, especially the ancestors, and dealing with not just Africa. You know, he go all over the world, Asia. You know what I'm saying? All over the world. You know what I'm saying? Australia, India, China. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he just didn't stop at Africa. You know, I remember one time I heard a presentation of him. He made a presentation from the dark side, and he talked about how him and his guys, after they got out of college, I mean, he was so, you know, trying to get our race together back then that he said, what can we do to get out of this mess we in? What can we do? You know, they looked under this, they looked with this. And it seemed like to me I could just visualize these 6, 7 guys just looking in books and, you know, what can we do and this, that, and the other. And he said, hell, we might as well just go to the dark side, because that's all that's left. You know, we as world-class people, what he said, we should be marching. We should be going connected. And also what I liked about the last time Bobby was here, he talked about, you know, how we got so much power within ourselves that we don't even know it. We've been put up underneath a spell to worship things outside of ourselves, but if we ever was to connect inside of ourselves, what happened in Atlanta down during election time, we shut down the sun for 3 days. See what I'm saying? We got the power to just change this whole atmosphere, but we so busy worrying about other things. But I'm not going to sit up here and just go on and on about it. You know, I just love Bobby. I'm going to tell you, ain't that many men, you know, that I can say that I really love, that I honor, and I respect. You understand what I'm saying? Go back to back with him. Dark side, light side, day side, evening, whatever. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? We all gonna have our swords and just go back to back. And we ain't talking about no physical fighting. You know, we talking about a metaphysical battle that we gonna win. So with that, I'm just gonna bring you Bobby Hemmitt from Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia. Here you go.
All right. I'm gonna give a shout out to Stephanie. She was online a couple. I met you online, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah.
The brother said in Houston. I was out in Houston, and they said they had the Onset Vibes, and so I did something on Onset Vibes, which is a chat room online, and you know they had so they could actually hear it over the phone, or actually hear it on your internet. And that Sunday, what's that? No. That Sunday, I did one a few weeks after my goddess finally came to town, and we hooked up. About 2 weeks later, I did one from Atlanta. And I was telling her, like, hey, it's a struggle, based on the finances or whatever. So send her something, and this sister was the only one that sent something out of a whole, that was international aspect. There's people from London, England, and all kinds of stuff. So I met her through, and we had a relationship ever since. And then she met, I think, did you meet Leslie? Yeah, through me. And all that, and so that's been going on, and that's the way things hook up. And then that brother that showed up called the gatekeeper the last time. So he said, I'm the gatekeeper. So we meeting all types of people. Yeah, the gatekeeper, meeting all kinds of people that's coming out of the woodworks. And these are soldiers. These are people that are actually the return of the spirits. Return of the spirits. Now, one thing also, if you notice, and this is great, this is when you know somebody's actually working, because I've been coming here to Cleveland ever since 2000, at least either once a year, twice a year, since 2000. And the only people that actually brought me, or the few people that brought me time and time again, have been Bernard, and Leslie. I won't go into the Egyptian name. I'm from the South, I might fuck up a few syllables on that. But anyway, Bernard and Leslie been bringing me for the last 5 years. So that lets you know that's a great thing that you can have two people that's committed to and I'm quite sure they do other things, but I'm just saying, just that alone, bringing me to Cleveland, and it's the only one. That's the way it goes, and that's a spiritual thing. It's just like I used to come to New York, and there was a sister named Bert, back in a sister named Bert. This was back in 1994, and Bert was a sister. She had dreadlocks, she had locks, and they was gray, and she wore overalls and all types of Batman utility belts. She was a real soldier. So a group of upper echelon Afrocentric people from Harlem stepped to me and said, look, we want to try to get you in First World, and we want to do a couple of things, so you be with Dr. Dan and John Henry Clark and all those. And, and I had just done a conference with them a few weeks before these Negroes were saying this thing, and we wouldn't get you with John Henry Clark and all those, and but you're going to have to let go the sister Bert, because she's a little rough around the edges, and all this kind of thing. I said, oh, so you turn this conscious thing into elitism. You've done the same thing that you complain about the white man shutting you out of society. Now you're going to put this shit into a class system. And I'm like, you don't know where the spirits is coming from, what the spirits might have for you. And you got to accept the spirits. And this sister brought me she brought me from 94 to 98. Then another brother came in and started bringing me in. There was another brother named Shabazz that I've been coming since 93. And this brother was telling me stories about how he got threw out of a 5-story building, landed on his head on some bricks, and bounced. And it was on the corner of that. So he said, well, this is a greater present than I could receive just viewing it. He said, because I view it, you can't take pictures of it, so just viewing it, that just only be in my memory. Now I got something that I can keep. You see what I'm saying? So he said this was worth the trip. So when they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, you see what I'm saying? It's worth 1,000 words. So we have several things here we're going to be dealing with today as we brought back the African Venus, the African Venus and the African King and Queen. It was done by French Charles Henry Joseph in the 1800s. And that African Venus, which is key now because we're in that cycle of the Venus. All of this stuff, there's a Venus lineup of Venus, Saturn, and Mercury. It's probably already lined up with Venus is a form of Aset, or a form of Hathor. Saturn is also a form of Osiris. You see what I'm saying? His grandfather was a person called Charles Wesley Dobbs, or something like that. Charles Wesley Dobbs or something. John Wesley Dobbs. He was a big-time Mason, and I tell the story how that the black Masons couldn't use what is called a Duncan ritual book.
Right.
They couldn't use the Duncan's ritual book. That they were not allowed to use it. So as a result, the Dobbs had to create his own book. And they used the Dobbs book for most part of the South until the 1970s. Now in the 1970s, they abandoned the Dobbs manual. This black man wrote his own Masonic ritual manual. Now the white man knowing something about history, knowing that all this stuff is ours. The black Masons started going to the Duncan's Ritual Complete, and you can buy them in Barnes and Nobles now. And it's just a bunch of white ceremony. So they started dealing with the Duncan's Ritual, and as a result, soon as they gave up the Dobbs manual, guess who started dealing with the Dobbs manual? The white folks came and grabbed up the Dobbs manual, and this is what they used in their Masonic thing now. The manual the black man made because he couldn't use the white manual, and the white folks is using it because they understand that stuff done by us is more authentic. See where I'm coming from? So now, more authentic. But by him being a big-time Mason, the grandfather, being a big-time Mason, the grandfather, what they did was, when the King Tut exhibit came to, and it was supposed to be up, you could get it in Atlanta and all these places, he wouldn't let it come to Atlanta. Because he knew better. He would not let the exhibit come to Atlanta or Major Jackson, because by him coming from a Masonic background, he knew that those things had a curse on it, and they knew that in studying cities that these particular mummies had gone into, all kind of messed up stuff started happening in the cities. So he kept that out. He kept the Ramesses out of Atlanta in 1988. He kept it out in 1988, and that's ironic that for some reason when the current mayor allowed the Ramesses mummy to come back to Atlanta in 2003, he ended up getting killed. He ended up dying. He ended up dying, EDC. Yeah. So my point here is, they know these things. Now another thing is what I'm doing, and you can they had this particular tape out on how 20 something people died, 25 people died in Europe. In Egypt. The same month they opened up the King Tut's tomb in 1923. And the History Channel even mentioned the mummy on the same program, the mummy that was on the Titanic, and when it went down. You see what I'm saying? The mummy that's on the Titanic. Now, we're going to go into a couple of things today because this is very important. There's new scholarship that's coming out that's saying that we know that the historical Jesus was never in no Rome, never in no Jerusalem. But the historical Jesus is the mystical Horus, is the mystical Hercules, is the mystical Krishna, the mystical Vishnu, and in terms of these Messiah figures. The evidence for looking for a historical person was two aspects. Now, Gerald Massey said that if just surveying this guy, Yeshua ben Pandera, there was a guy that died around that particular time, said that may have been him. The new evidence that came out 11 years ago in Europe and finally made it here this year. We got the book 11 years ago, but it was an international book company, and the book was called The House of the Messiah. The new book now is called Jesus in the House of the Messiah. It just was re-released from the book 11 years ago by Hemmitt. Hold on 1 minute. Y'all all right? This is very important stuff. Jesus in the House of the Messiah by Hemmitt. So this book, we got it as the House of Messiah 11 years ago. And it was an international book, so that means that a lot of it didn't get released on a full release in the United States. It only came in full release in the United States last year. Jesus in the House of the Pharaohs. And it says that the scene revelations on the historical Jesus. Now they're saying in this particular book of 11 years ago, and this particular book about 7 years ago, which is in print, it's called Tutankhamun, the Living Image of the Lord by Mustafa we go into this thing, they're saying that based on the studies, that there was a historical person that lived in the house of the Lord, which was the house of Amun-Ra, or Atan, or whatever. It was an ancient Kemet, and it was King Tut. You see what I'm saying? Now, don't miss up the stream. The Christ energy, the ultimate aspect of the Christ energy is the Christ is nothing but the illumination of all the people who have souls. Now we understand that's an attainment, and understand the difference. But dealing on a historical person, it is more accurate that based on the information. We'll go into a little bit of this in the actual lecture. And the reason why I'm bringing this back, I'm bringing this forward now, is because the simple fact that now they made sure they left the mummy in Kemet. They went to the tomb, and they made sure they left the mummy. Somebody give me some ice when you get a chance. You know. They made sure they left the mummy in Kemet, or Egypt. But, the sarcophagus, as well as, because we got one price that was $130. Huh? Yeah, but this is the key. Why this is important. Now let me tell you the metaphysical aspect about it. Another book that came out in 2000, at the end of 2003. It's a book called Tutankhamun Prophecies. And they make the analogy that the King Tut's sarcophagus, the one that the body lies in, would actually be equivalent to the actual Ark of the Covenant. Now, you go get the Graham Hancock's book, The Sign and the Seal, dealing with the Ethiopian Ark of the Covenant, in the book The Sign and the Seal, Graham Hancock. That came out, I think, in 1991. The Sign and the Seal, dealing with the Ethiopian Ark of the Covenant. He would go to Ethiopia, and they even interviewed the guardian of the ark. Said, well, this is not just one ark that the Hebrews had, or whatever that particular priesthood had, this one ark. That the Egyptians would build arks all the time, which were, hold on, I just cut this off for a minute. Which were, they would build arks all the time, and these arks that they would build were chest of Osiris. Now, Dr. Ben said that in The Black Man of the Nile. First one to mention that in 1972. Later on mentioned by Graham Hancock that they would build these chests of Osiris, and that was these particular arts. I mean, these things have magical powers because in 1968 at the University of Chicago, some white students duplicated it by building this ark based on the Hebrew models or whatever their research was. But they say Hebrew, but I think it was University of Chicago. They built it based on the Egyptian models because they have papyruses, tons that we'll never see. And in some of those papyruses was these melanet on building a chest of Osiris. Now that chest of Osiris, in one aspect, would look like the King Tut's sarcophagus. And this is the mystery. This is the mystery. They built this chest of Osiris. It started thundering, lightning, and all kinds of shit. Sparks started flying, and the government came in heavily armed, full army. You know, about like when you see the Blues Brothers when they signed that shit at the end of the movie, and next thing they turned around about 100,000 guns in their face. Well, they said this was the case. They stormed the dormitories or wherever these laboratories or wherever these students was doing this, and made them tear it down. You see what I'm saying? I'm saying that to say that it's interesting because I'm going to show y'all something. Y'all all right? Oh, yeah. Okay. We're going to pull our bases, but sometimes you have to get into what's on your head. It's interesting because this book, and it comes with a slide-out case. This book is a book that costs about $300, but it's not sold to the public. It's just, everything's always spiritual with me. The white boys didn't know what they had. And back in '96, they sold it to me for $25 because they didn't have the internet. Now they go on the internet, they type in the internet, and whatever that book is worth, that's what you get. Or you get a half of that or whatever. Anyway, this book was $300 in most universities. Got Alexander Peikoff, and this is the book. It breaks down the complete levels of the King Tut's sarcophagus. It goes into all of the dimensions of King Tut's sarcophagus. And it's $300. I got some different ones. So what I've done is, well, I'll go into that in a few minutes. But anyway, what is dangerous for them is powerful for us. So now, this is his sarcophagus, because remember now, King Tut's sarcophagus, although they had thousands of riches in Hemmitt, this is the most significant find up until they found these mummies recently in 1987, and didn't announce it until 1993, 94, about the Ramesses children, or the Ramesses kings. Before that, the greatest amount of riches, although they got thousands of riches and thousands of sarcophagus, they never found that much that they found in King Tut. They said they had, what, over 8,000 pieces? That's a lot in that tomb. Now, I say that is because I believe that tomb was preserved for us. I know for a fact that the Egyptians preserved the mummies for us to have a detailed record of the existence of the ancestors. There's a thing about it that I don't think that the crackers were supposed to disturb it like they did, but they already perceived history and they knew that they were going to do that. The point what I'm trying to make here is that sarcophagus is like a vessel, and if they have one of those sarcophagus, because I think it was 5 of them until they got to the regular mummy. So more than likely, some of those, at least 2 or 3 of those sarcophagus is in the United States, and that's a form of the Ark of the Covenant, especially based on my man's book. In my man's book, Tutankhamun Prophecies. Now, one of the great mysteries here is, fortunately, what has happened, I didn't put it up on the wall, but I do have some, this is one of the actual sarcophagus that's coming off of the side of King Tut's tomb. And this was a ritual to Osiris that basically I Xerox for you see what I'm saying, that you can actually use. So this is an actual thing that's coming from his funerary aspect. So what I'm saying here is, it is pertinent that you get some of these, because while that exhibition is in the United States, and use this for a form of energy and a form of ritual and a form of power. Because the only people that can use these things now are the ones that's fortified based on ancestral lineage, that has a link back to remote history, and have a link into the Western world, which is the Africans in the diaspora. The Africans all over the globe, because the head of the snake, and you have the whole body of the snake. But what I'm trying to say here is the only people can use this that has some form of ancestral line. Now that also includes, because we're talking about ancient ancestral line, because we're not talking about one landmass. That includes Native American, some forms of Asians, the darker forms of Asians, Tibetans, East Indians, all you people that's transplanted in the Caribbean, 80 million black people in Brazil that don't know they're black. You see what I'm saying? Don't know. You can't just link up Africa. You got to link up all of the lineage of the people that came from the pre-societies, pre-historical societies. That's the white man say, pre-history. Well, he's trying to tell you, history only starts with us. At least the history we use it. The other shit is your stuff. Now, so my point here is we have this particular ancestral information. I'm going to go into a lot of things. We've got a lot to cover today. We've got a lot to cover. We've got a lot of visual things to see today. And you got the key right.
Yeah.
So that means you ain't no time limit.
No time limit.
Okay, we can be cool then, yeah. So we want to do this and all, like I said, we got all this stuff in. As I go on, I'm going to be telling you what all these things are, like those Egyptian temples. Now, I told you about the Temple of Dendera the last time I was here. Well, every year around this time, at Dendera and Edfu in Hemmitt, the Temple of Hathor at Dendera and the Temple of Harvest at Edfu, they marry these two temples together every year in the summer, and it represents the sacred marriage of male and female. So what I have done is produce the Temple of Edfu, which is the Temple of Harvest up under the Temple of Dendera. So you need to get, if you got the Temple of Dendera, you need to get the Temple of Harvest to go with it. If you didn't get it the last time, you get both. But these are very significant. You say, well, how the hell can pictures be very significant? Let me explain something to you. The Temple of Dendera, the Temple of Harvest, there's a zodiac down here at the top of Dendera, and there's also the inside of Dendera. I got these from Napoleonic Egypt, which is a book that's now about 300 bucks, but they brought the complete edition out in 1991 for something like $180. So one of my friends was getting one of them checks, in college. They got these loans you take out, and then you can get the money back. You can get some of the money, half the money from the loans. So niggas will get their loan money, it'll be a big payday. So when he got his loan money, he said, you want anything? I said, man, all I want is Napoleonic Egypt. So he bought it for me, which is symbolic. If you receive as a present, it makes it more powerful. So, that was in 1991. In 1992, from 1989 to 1993, I was working for a millionaire. They sold hamburgers, chicken, and food to all Spelman, Clark, Morehouse, Morris Brown, and all the students over there. They got one library they use, and across the street was a little store called Steve. So he said, look, I need you to come on because you know all the students. And at that time, I was in between. I was deciding whether I was going to do the shoe thing or not, and I had some time off. The guy from New York sent me back to Atlanta to get some black investors. So he said, you ain't got no money, man. He said, I know you all in. He said, you need some damn money, man, because I had just gotten in a new relationship. So I knew I needed some goddamn money. Because we was living off her check that she got back from the college loan. So I said, shit, I need some money now. I'm in a damn new relationship. So he said, when you come and work with me, all you got to do is stand up here and call out these people food and tell them to come up and get it. That's all you got to do. And hobnob and have a conversation with the people. And stuff. And as a matter of fact, a lot of our conscious, I think I would learn how to lecture in that store because we used to have heated debates. Because it was in the early 90s and the late 80s, early 90s, and all this shit was going down. A lot of conscious and stuff. We used to have the heated debates and people would come in the store, so we used to have the heated debates. So the store would be packed, and because I had the clientele, that's exactly what he wanted. Okay. So I would work, and so that's all I did. So the summer of 1992, nigga gonna try to get cheap. That's how millionaires. How you think millionaires get to be millionaires? They're cheap. Although he would pay me under the table, he paid me a lot of money under the table. And I get paid every day. That's like working out in the cornfield or some shit, or the tobacco field. I get paid every day. So the money was coming, I would use that to buy half the books and stuff that I was researching on. He paid me $70 a day sometimes. So under the table. So I get no taxes. So I had to force myself to leave in 93. The money was so good. Okay. To go into a life of poverty. So now, in the summer of 1992, he got cheap. Because I cooked him a goddamn hamburger one day. And it was so good, he said, oh shit, I didn't know you could cook. I said, you don't go there. Do not go there. So he gonna save a little bit of money, he gonna tell the real cook. And then he cut my hours, so I'm coming in at 11 to 2 in the summertime. So, from 11, I'm coming in from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So he into this thing. So it's coming up good, Bobby. Yeah, food coming up good, you know. So I'm running back there, you know, because it's slow. The school's out. They don't have a little bit of summer school students. He figured they're gonna put a present on the grill. So I didn't know that they got all this trap grease and you gotta push it in a little slot and go down a little hole. I was back there throwing down and shit, cooking the people food, and all this grease was piling up. So when I left the stove one day, it's still metaphysical. The damn back of the kitchen and the stove was on fire. I didn't know that the damn, you know, it's some shit you had to do cooking. You know, so the damn stove on there sitting there and looking around. I ain't no shot on it. So I left the stove. I told him not to go there. So the back of the stove on fire. So the next morning I won't come in there and they go, what the fuck going on? He said, well, he don't work today. I said, why? He said, 'cause the stove burnt down. I said, well, how that happened? He said, well, after you left the damn kitchen, the stuff caught on fire. I wonder how. I said, well, I don't know. But it was the damnedest thing. During the school year, I had Xeroxed in 11 by 17, as you see, about 30 of these Napoleonic Egypt pictures from Denver, Karnak, Temple of Isis, Temple of Hathor, Temple of Osiris, and I had them all in the backyard, and the students used to come in and go, oh man, this is the shit we built, and this is the stuff that they're copying down, and all the office buildings downtown got some of these designs. So this is the way they was learning this stuff.
Right.
He said, well, it's the damnedest thing, man. He said, look, the entire kitchen was burnt up, and the entire wall on the back of the stove was burnt up. His business license was burnt up. The Pepsi Cola clock was melted down to a gumball. Everything in the stove was burnt up. But on the ashes, laying on the ashes, I wish I had a camera. On the ashes, laying on the ashes, was the 30 pictures of the Napoleonic Egypt. On the ashes. You see, and they was like, man, you got to see. They called me, man, you got to come see this. The pictures didn't even burn up. So to let you know that we didn't create these images just to have a pretty picture. They bring power. And as we go on, as we get into this stuff I'll be explaining, some of the show we're going to show today, I have here. But the reason why I'm saying about the black Madonna child, look at them hips. You know, you know that's a black woman. And they have been hiding this thing. They have been hiding this thing in France for years. Look at the dreads. Oh, look at the locks. Look at the locks. They've been hiding that, you know. Look at the lips. Look at them hips. Look at that, look at the nose. I'm going to show you tons of these things as we go on. But my point here is we have these things, so that's a money shot right there. That's a money shot. So y'all all right? So now, I guess we can get into the lecture. We got a lot to present. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into a lot of, there's a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on at a particular time. Now remember now, this exhibit opened, the King Tut exhibit opened. Yeah, I want to say this. We're being visited by a particular god called Hanuman. This is a monkey god in India. Hanuman. Hanuman is the equivalent of the Egyptian Tahuti or Thoth. He's the helper. Tahuti or Thoth means one who comes before the Messiah. So he would be, the mistress of Tahuti would be John the Baptist in Christianity if you don't historicalize it. Enoch in another form of Hebrew. Icarus, no, it's called El Qadar El Qadar, the green one in Islam. Enoch, Merlin magician in the Moorish mythology, the so-called Arthurian mythology, that's Tahuti. That's Tahuti. Moses, most of the stuff of Moses, the staff of Tahuti, the staff of Moses, is a form of Tahuti. You see what I'm saying? Or Anubis. He's called Hermes in Greek, but he's also called Hermanubis in Greek. In East India, he's called Hanuman. Hanuman is a form of that, as well as the elephant Ganesha, that you see the elephant deity in India. Hanuman. This is a very contemporary spirit now. The difference is what happens with these are not just coming out from research, because I've been knowing about these for a couple of years. These are coming because these particular entities are now the ones, they just come and they just permeate the scene and you know they're there. You see what I'm saying? It's just like the Zuli came back. So Hanuman, I'm going to go into some mythology on him as a protected deity, and he's a warrior to get shit done. So in so many words, to put him in your life, we have a picture of Hanuman up top, and it has some of the information. He's a warrior, he gets things done. You see what I'm saying? Very powerful that you need the energy of Hanuman in your life at this particular time. At this particular time. Why is he a monkey? Well, a monkey is unpredictable. It's like chaos. It's like a trickster figure. It's like chaos. And it keeps you going to keep you on your feet, because that's the only way you learn. When you become complacent and thinking that you have all the knowledge there can be and you know everything, and that gives you ego time to fester. So he keeps you on your feet. You see what I'm saying? And also there's a reason that he's that way, but he's also a monkey god, and he has a crown on his head, which means that the monkey just is symbolic of the physical animal life of humans. Humans are still mammals and forms of animals. And so in so many words, the monkey is indicating a human, but because he has a crown on his head, it's saying that even humanity, this is not the last stage. So he's a transformative deity. You see what I'm saying? He's a transformative deity. You see? So look at death from now on as a form of transformation. And don't be saying, well, she made the transition and start crying. You have to condition yourself to understand that the transition is a beautiful thing. I just had an aunt, she waited to make the transition. She waited till I went to do a lecture in Philly. And she knew, and when we did after the lecture, man, we started partying and beating drums and started doing all this stuff. We did it for 2 nights. When I got back home, I said, how's Aunt Jane? And she said, well, she made the transition and she wanted to be cremated, and we did all that this weekend. And then I got in touch with her, and she said, yeah, I had to get cremated because I wouldn't have been able to come and be with you effectively to have my celebration and my send-off party. So and this is a woman that was scared of death. But all of a sudden, she was like, she got gangrene in the leg, and she had diabetes. She said, I ain't cutting my leg off. So they was like, well, you gonna die? She said, well, I ain't cutting my leg off. And my brother said, oh, I guess you want to go home. She's like, you got it. So my point here is, this is a joyous time. You understand what I'm saying? Especially for niggas just walking down the damn street ain't doing shit. Ain't got nothing, just useless eaters. If you ain't doing nothing in this world, you should be more effective in the next world. You see what I'm saying? And so this is a transformative time, and death is a part of that. And the more you find out about that, the more you know that in actuality, it's not a tragedy because black people are dying. Hell, that's a fucking relief. And if you don't think so, get in touch with the majority of the ones, because you can do that. Get in touch with the majority of the ones that have made the transition, and you will find out that you're the only one breathing.
That's right. That's right.
They're chill, and they're doing what they got to do. So that's very key at this particular time. Like I said, and this particular entity, Voodoo, has come back on the scene in this particular time. I'll get that for me. But I want to show you if I got my other picture. On the time, the goddess is Voodoo, the goddess is Voodoo. Now, when I go into the particular information today, she's going to be very important, as well as this royal couple. You know them as Isis and Osiris. In Hemmitt, this is Vishnu and Lakshmi. Vishnu and Lakshmi. In India. What's more powerful about this? Because this is some of the last time you will see black people embracing in a loving embrace. You see how they got his hand, don't you? You see what I'm saying? This is the last time you will see this on the world stage as far as deities. And they make sure they hide this temple. You don't see it a lot on TV and stuff like that. And this is one of the images out of thousands of images at the temple of Colorado, and it is built to the god Shiva. And this is Lakshmi and Vishnu, the divine couple. There's one also of Vishnu, Shiva and Parvati of the divine couple. This is very powerful energy. So we have another rendition up here. This is one I found. This was a very small color picture that I found and had to blow up just to make the overlay here, transparency. And it took me another $100 just to get the bigger picture that you see up here. But the money is no object because this is the kind of stuff that we use to teach the people. Y'all alright? Yeah. I lived into today. This particular temple is very important. This is the temple. This is the temple of Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Yeah. This is 37 miles long. The temple is as big as two Manhattan Islands, 37 miles long. And it's a temple called Angkor Wat, which means Angkor Wat. The god of harvest lives in Cambodia. The god of harvest lives. Ankh, life, Angkor Wat. The god of harvest lives. It's in the book, Graham Hancock's book, Stairway to Heaven. Stairway to Heaven. This is very key. This is in Cambodia, and this is what the Vietnam was really about. It was about this temple. I introduced you the last time I was here to the goddess Lakshmi. Right? The goddess Lakshmi. I'm going to put some of this stuff on the lecture. Y'all alright? And this is all a part of the lecture. I introduced you to the goddess Lakshmi. I want to show you something here. It's very spiritual. Let's see. Bear with me 1 minute. I want to show you something here. But I got this particular one. Let's see. Here it is. Now, last time I was here, I introduced you to this picture. Some of you love this picture. The goddess Lakshmi, which is the goddess of prosperity. That's her with her husband Vishnu that I just showed you. This is a form of MAAT, a form of Heru, because the goddess is over that, the goddess of prosperity. This was the artist rendition at the same Gami, it says G-U-S-E-E. G-U-I-M-E-T, which I say Hemmitt, that's the black person spelling. Right. G-U-I-M-E-T. But the sister Kimberly has got a master's in French, so she told me it's Gami. I said, okay, then. It's Gami. And it's this small museum that she said she was over in France for a year and she didn't know nothing about it. She said she saw it was very small, but that's where all the shit is here. So I got this picture here. I had to go to a book on Satan to get this picture out. Because they hid it in this book. To get this particular picture out, because the ones that you see, the modern pictures of Lakshmi is all white looking. Yeah. But the East Indians got a caste system, right, and they got a real fucked up mind, right, as far as identity crisis. Right. Everybody's trying to be white, from Asia to India to Africa. Yeah. You see all the skin whiteness they had the thing on PBS and all the billboards. When you see cigarette billboards and liquor billboards over here, their billboards is all about skin whiteness, all over Africa. All over Africa. And the girls were like, well, we can't get no man if we don't like him. See what I'm saying? So they're going through their form of this same identity crisis. So I found this artist rendition in a book, and this is the one I had to use because I wasn't going to give the white book because they're pathologists. But I had to go and give the same one that the Black Madonna child came out of. I found a real statue. Cost me $200, but that's how shit goes. You see what I'm saying? $200 for a book. But the white boys got it. Here's a rare book, 1970 something. You want it? It didn't wasn't made in America, it was made in France. Better get it. Right. So this is the goddess Lakshmi. Notice the crown on her head. The same goddess Lakshmi. to show you some pictures of them, and they're Egyptian. So they built Angkor Wat. But notice that Angkor Wat has, look at Angkor Wat, and look at the crown on her head, and look at the crowns on the building. Ain't that Egyptian? They put the goddess crown, the building is made up of her crown. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I'm going to do it. It's made up of her crown. So that's down. You see? That's an amazing thing. And this is what the Cambodian thing was about. This is what the Vietnamese thing was about. Those are the crowns off the Lakshmi's head. They even have a picture of her on the walls in Cambodia. I'll find that and show it to you later. They got a whole temple with that, and in the movie Tomb Raider, when I show the picture, they show that picture of Lakshmi in the movie Tomb Raider. But, so we have the temple of Angkor Wat, also for sale, which you need to adorn in your house, because the Vietnam War was fought over this. The French colonized them in the 1840s, colonized the Vietnamese. Well, they several things. One, the movie Tomb Raider, the first one, 2001, when they went to pick up one of the lost treasures, they had to go to Angkor Wat. What's interesting here is this. The French had colonized Angkor Wat, and they colonized Cambodia. The French got their behinds kicked and got thrown out of Cambodia in the late 50s or the early 60s. Queen of England, France, Germany, Russia, the European powers, America said, look, we must control all the sacred sites on the planet. Because, you know, the pyramids is controlled by Britain. Didn't Britain colonize them for damn near 200 years? And you know once ever they leave the colonization alone, there's neo-colonialism. So that's all British control right now. Nigeria is British control. So when they kicked them out, they said, we must control all the sacred sites on the planet, and they went to war based on Angkor Wat. But the prophecy was they're going to get their ass whipped, and they did. And the little monkey that I showed you, Hanuman, his pictures is plastered all over Angkor Wat, and they could not win that war. Because when there's some gods fighting on the physical, there's some gods fighting in the spiritual. And a monkey is elusive. Well, America lost that war. You see what I'm saying? They lost that war. And they're now engaged in another war that they cannot win.
That's right.
They cannot win. You see? Because Ishtar is the Babylonian form of the Lakshmi and the Heru. As a matter of fact, in the book called The Dragon Legacy, they say Ishtar, daughter of Hathor, or Heru. You see, so same image. They cannot win those wars. You see what I'm saying? So they're over there now. How you gonna impose some damn democracy? You see what I'm saying? On some people. You understand? It's got their own way of life. That predates yours. And willing to die for it. You see what I'm saying? So that's the water they'll never get out of. You see? Okay. As we go on, let's go to libations and give the gods theirs. Give the gods theirs. I'm straight. Give the gods theirs. And
What's that?
this is just a Castellio bowl. called Voodoo Secrets. Anybody see this thing on the History Channel? Okay, now, can you produce?
Yes.
So, for the people. Okay, so what we're going to do is this. I brought the documentary up. We brought that up. I bought a whole documentary on the temple of Angkor Wat up. And the first part is the Angkor Wat. It's an hour long. And after that, the Mexican pyramids is an hour long. I brought that up. The one is coming, but I also brought one called Voodoo Secrets. They go to Benin, Africa. They go to Haiti. They agreed that the Haitians kicked Napoleon ass. And the Haitians are still paying for that today. Then they go to New Orleans and they do the life of Marie Laveau. All in this documentary. After that, I got a documentary, a real documentary, because we don't do stuff. So a guy from England had to come together and put a documentary together on Isaac Hayes and Shaft, and how the music of Shaft changed the way white people do music to movies to this day. And the genius of this brother. So that's on the documentary. There's a slavery boat in the St. Thomas Islands on the documentary, as well as the Zulu Wars when they kicked the British ass in the documentary. That is because at this particular time, the white boy is bringing out all this particular information and all this apologizing. Remember, they say the devil always know what time it is before the righteous. They know when their time is up. Now, if you are ruling the world, it is your duty and your obligation to know when your time is up. And remember, I told you about they busted a group in Congress, a department they busted a United government department where they was funneling money, a couple of like $10 million a year into this department to just revise American history. They were like, well, goddamn, how much American history needs to be revised every year to have, it costs us $10 million. But that was under the headache. That department makes sure that they get every lecture, every article printed, all the shit that you're giving up on the internet, on the websites. You just call it Pentagon, because it's the same shit. That's their stuff. And that's what they do. They got people to sit in a room and just read every novel, every sci-fi novel, every horror novel, look at all the conscious tapes and everything around the world. And it costs to the tune of these people about $10 million a year for them to do this stuff. Or so they say. That might have been a conservative estimate. So the point I'm trying to make is that when they start apologizing, and they apologize for lynching on the same day that they acquitted Michael Jackson, they just found this guy guilty. And the black people, the guys, the Mississippi workers, and the black people going, well, goddamn, ain't that a little too late? But it's not for us. It's for apologizing for them. They're trying to set the record straight because they know some things is actually happening, and they know that their time is up. It's just that you were looking and you were being disenfranchised because you were looking at the physical level, and it looked dismal and gloomy for us in the physical level, but on the biological level, and the molecular level, they know that their time is up, and that is exactly what we're going to get into today. The molecular level. You see what I'm saying? In that level, we have it leaps and bounds. Whereas when I go to work, when I go to bed every night, I wake up with a pillow and sheet full of sweat. The last 2 months, I done lost damn near 15 pounds on sweat alone. That's because of Kundalini energy rising. There's some shit that's happening to us biologically. And the next time you get sick, and really sick, wait till early in the morning and get up, go to the bathroom, pee a little bit to make sure you get the bacteria out, and then put the rest in a cup. And then you'll find out that there's some stuff that is happening to your cells and your DNA every day, but it's coming out through your urine. Always drink your own blood. You can cut yourself and drink your own blood. But this is the only healing shit going. Now remember now, they had your boys, Dave Chappelle did a special for Showtime last June. Now they don't say had the cure to cancer. He said on the thing. He also said this. He said they called Michael Jackson in the room and said, Michael, the Iraqi war is not going like we thought it would go. Morale is low and it's just not going economically. You got to jack off another kid. See? So in so many words, he's talking about distraction, first of all.
Right, exactly.
But when he said that about what if Michael Jackson semen having to cure cancer, because we're saying apparently the boy only had 2 weeks to live, and then the motherfucker getting stronger every day. And that's been 2 years ago, cancer patient. But they will say something meant for a joke. But then again, on the other hand, the white boy is sending some signs when we talking about the molecular structure. So we're going to go into that. We're going to go into the war against that molecular structure that they declared war against that the molecular structure in you. Microscopic organisms they call midichlorians in Star Wars.
Right.
The Phantom Menace, and this new one, Star Wars, The Revenge of the Sith, or whatever that thing was. You all right? So now, we're going to there's a paper here on the state of emergency. It's a starting a war. It's a congressional act starting a war to go against you. A war that they can't win and going to lose. Because it's on the molecular structure, like the Hopi Indians said. So let's go into the libations right quick. And as we do that, we can start the lecture. All right. Now the reason why I said about that voodoo city. So what I'm gonna do is, let's see, I'm also selling these things. So what I do is this. Y'all got to work.
All right.
So I sit there with the table and I just look at the little TV book and I find all these rare shits. Because they come on sporadically on the cable and I record them.
Yeah.
I channel stuff and I record all this shit. And I put them on the tape. And I didn't wipe out the damn commercials. But just remember it's a video and you can always fast forward it. I ain't got time to damn do no editing. They gotta get it off. They got all kinds of slavery shit going on TV. They got all kinds of stuff that they talking about going on TV. I saw, to give you an example, I saw a movie, I saw a movie called In America. It was about an Irish family came to New York to get into, the guy wanted to become an actor and stuff. So the Irish girl was sitting around the table with Yaima Hunsu. You know Yaima Hunsu, the one that played Amistad, was in the latest movie Constantine. And she said in Ireland, the word for black man is this word, so-and-so, so-and-so, and it means, actually means blue man. She said, and the real word for black man means so-and-so, so-and-so. And it means the devil. And he looked at her and said, I guess you figured us out, didn't you? She's telling the black man that. You see what I'm saying? Now there's a whole mystery behind this thing here and all, but this is very interesting. They would say this on this thing. This is like the movie The Terminal. Whole movie, this guy Tom Hanks go and get stuck in this airport and got this little can with him, and they're trying to find out what's in the can. It's some international terrorism act or whatever they're trying to find out in the can. The only thing in the can is names of the 52 jazz artists who did that particular picture, The Great Day in Jazz. You know the picture?
Yeah.
You know the picture? The Great Day in Jazz, 1958. This particular picture, the whole movie is all based on this. His father had gotten the signature to all these jazz greats. You see this picture? They got a poster out of all these jazz greats, and he only had one person that his father didn't get. There's a guy up at the top of the door. And he came all the way to America to get that picture for his father. And the whole movie went down, and after he got to America, he went to where this guy was performing at the Ramada Inn. It's like, you know, I was a obscure jazz artist, and I got to take a job where they won't. And he got the guy a picture, and he said, now it's time for you to go the fuck home.
Yeah.
And this whole thing was based on these black people in jazz, and it was a ritual saying, no, whatever go around, you got to get the last picture of the gods. Of the gods. You see what I'm saying? Why else you think Michael Jackson got the the goddess. Gotta make sure. I call her, dress her as goddess. Don't get in no motherfucking trouble. She already done embarrassed me up in the supermarket. Cuss the nigga out in front of all these people and shit, and I can't say nothing. You see what I'm saying? Well, it was my fault. The damn can of coconut milk fell on my damn toe. And the shit kind of hurt, and there was a little flap. As you put the baby through the little legs, you got to pull the little flap up, or the damn hole be there and all. So I told her, well, you got to pull the flap up.